All right, welcome back to the weekly SKTLs community volunteer call. The band of four this week. So far, we usually get joiners coming in over the course of the next 30 minutes, but we have our regulars. We got Trading with Cody's very own Cody Willard. Who else would he be? We got
The
Dan
himself.
Geraci, chairman of the Planetary Society, and we have the almost always ever present Sanatsi, the most humble man on the stream. So
that is true. Dan's pretty humble too, but
yes, he is. Yeah.
Sanatsi is like he takes humbleness. Is that a word? Is that the right word?
Humility.
That's the word. Humility.
Yeah.
Let's just make up words while we're at it.
Yes. Humility. Yeah.
Humility.
So I know, Cody, you want to get into some applications and talk that a little later, but I guess first things first, right after the day after last week, we had, this call. There was like this little tiny firework that was shot off some platform, and there was an explosion. It was very expensive firework, but we have, I guess, 4 minutes of data from it, so that's a very big positive, correct?
So for the people who don't know what you're
who aren't seeing through
let's be explicit.
We're talking go ahead.
SpaceX Starship
code
tried to launch, did launch last Thursday, did not get to orbit clearly, and it blew up after about 4 minutes. They blew it up themselves after it was in the sky for about 4 minutes. Dan explained to me how actually important it was that their auto self-destruct button in there, it was obviously not in there, but from the ground station to the Starship, they hit self-destruct and blew the thing up. It was amazing. I mean, watching it, look, full disclosure, I think everybody knows I'm a SpaceX investor, and I was watching it with my wife and my partner remotely, but we were all watching it together, and wow, my God, look, it's going in the air. And, it's this thing's bigger than the Statue of Liberty, and it gets shot into the air slowly at first, but by the time they blew it up, it was going like 2,000 kilometers per hour or something, right, Dan? And I mean, the thing, it was amazing to see. They definitely, Elon had set expectations very low and told everyone that if it gets off the launch pad at all, it's a success because they're just trying to figure out how to get 33 Raptor engines to launch at the same time, and it's the most powerful rocket in the history of the planet, and it worked pretty well for that. Unfortunately, if you've seen any pictures, the launch pad is demolished. It blew up the launch pad. Even though they got off of it, the thrust, the force of those engines and everything that went onto that launch pad destroyed the launch pad. Elon has talked now. They've got a water-cooled steel launch pad technology that they will be implementing and building next. But it's going to be several months before they'll be able to do the next trial Starship launch. There's also like an environmental problem. Problem might be a little strong, but there was dust that was blowing around everywhere, and there might be some propellant particulates in the dust, and and there were boulders thrown around, and people 6 miles away in the town over from Boca Chica could hear and see their windows rattling, and it was quite it was powerful. And it messed some stuff up. Dan, you want to hit on it for a minute? Dan Geraci?
I think he would. He's frozen for a second.
He's frozen. Hello, Dan.
Talk to us, Dan.
Yep.
Yeah, Dan, you want to talk?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting. I mean, we've got like crazy Wi-Fi in here, but it's for some reason new computer next week. I promise. yeah, I just want to say I'm at my new place now. So I've just taken over as president and chief operating officer of Freefall Aerospace, which is a maker of innovative antennas for the space industry, for defense, etc. So we're doing some pretty cool things, and I'm sitting here in the shop while the team is in a technical meeting. So I figured I'd get away from the noise, but apparently I got away from the signal too. So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
we can. Congrats.
Cody is playing the hold music.
I'm free falling.
Oh God.
Free falling. Free falling.
Yes, we do have a song. That's my walk. That's the walk-in music.
Yeah.
But for this whole thing with SpaceX, people. And there was a great article a while back, and we talked about it, I think, for a bit. But NASA and the media trained the American public to think rockets blowing up was the worst possible outcome you could have. Now, granted, if they have people on them, it is, but it's not when you're experimenting. Rockets blow up. We've all seen the footage from the late 50s and the early 60s of all these launches that went sideways and drove themselves into the ground or were blown up beforehand. The objective of this mission was to clear the tower, to get off the pad, clear the tower, and get into that next phase of making its way up to orbit. The objective wasn't to go anyplace, and so it was, by all accounts and all measures, a screaming success. The only issue, forward, they will learn. Elon's blown up rockets before. He laughed at them. He's sat there and said, "Wow, that was cool." And yes, they did get data, and that's what it was all. The data, learned from it. And he has said they'll probably fly Starship at least 100 times before people will ever be put on board. So you've got 99 more of these launches before there's ever.
Wow. How long before they'll put satellites on it, though, Dan? You think 20 or 30?
A lot sooner.
And then they'll throw some satellites. They'll have enough success. They'll throw satellites on it.
Yeah, because they're going to use it to deploy the next generation Starlink, and they need to get those up there and get them up there in large quantities. So that'll be its first mission. Will be as a very large, Freightliner for putting new Starlinks up, but 100 times before people get on board. So, and then at some point in a couple of years, they want to be launching 30 to 50 times a day, believe it or not, with that ship. I mean, it looks so big. It is big getting off the ground. And I think it's different from a Saturn because you've got the upper stage is that big black sci-fi looking rocket sitting on top. It just looks so much more imposing. But at the end of the day, more to come. They look at their accuracy now. Look at their reliability now with Falcon. Okay, they're the safest ride to space now. But
4 years ago, they were blowing up Falcons just like this, trying to figure out how to get them to land.
Right. NASA could never do this because they'd never survive the public relations disaster of having rockets blow up. And this is what I meant earlier about the media playing a big role in the fear factor. And so NASA, as a result, built in tremendous redundancy. They would never launch if there was any question. And what ended up happening was they still had failures and they became bloated and slow. And look at Artemis. Okay, here we have SpaceX launching, and they couldn't get Artemis off the ground initially after all the fanfare of a night launch and everything was great. And then something as routine is that leak and the valve pressure issue. And here they are. Let's roll it back, and we'll try again later. And that just shows the contrast between Ulta, and New Space, which is really personified, of course, by
Dan,
SpaceX. And because of SpaceX, other companies are going to be able to take risks and fail too.
Dan, you mentioned Old Space, and United Launch Alliance had their Vulcan blow up on the. They weren't even trying to launch it, and it blew up on the launch pad. What, 3 weeks ago?
The contractors.
CEO, yeah, and then I have a article I actually printed out, and I keep it on my white board over there. I bought more SpaceX for the hedge fund after the Starship blew up. That's how much I thought it was a success. I mean, I was trying to buy some for the last couple of weeks anyway. We closed on it after the blow up. Here's what I was going to say, though. I've got this piece of paper, and you guys know who Michael Sheets is? He's CNBC's space reporter. You never see him on the actual channel. They've got the woman reporter who's probably
Morgan Brennan.
Yeah, Morgan Brennan, who does a great job covering space. I'm a fan of hers too, but Michael Sheets is fantastic. He's really a good writer. Anyway, here's what this thing I printed out. It says Boeing pushed back the flight schedule of its Starliner capsule by several months, the company said on a conference call with reporters Wednesday. And then he says, that sentence holds true this week, but the problem is I wrote it 5 years ago. So while SpaceX has crashed and blown up Falcons 4 years ago and now has done 99 successful launches with Falcons in a row, Boeing is still trying to get one launch with their Starliner, and it's not happening. I'm short Boeing for the record too.
No. But but Boeing is synonymous with NASA in that respect. They are one and the same process. They're just a contractor of NASA. NASA's never physically built much of anything itself. And so when you look at Boeing, they have that same heavily laden risk aversion that says our reputation's at stake. And that comes from, hey, if a Boeing airliner crashes, all hell breaks loose because there are lives. And gee, do we have to ground an entire fleet? Are we going to lose orders for planes? So it's in their culture. And they don't know how on the other side of the house to go for it because there's just zero risk tolerance in an organization like that. And it's in their genes to be risk averse. So it really makes it easier, if you will, for SpaceX because their competition is kind of genetically hamstrung from taking risk and moving as quickly as
at least the big competition. The New Space,
only Blue could
relativity
lay claim to. Yeah, fine, we'll go ahead. The same thing.
Relativity recently blew up their Terran 1 rocket on their first attempt to get it to space. It also flew a long way before it blew up. Even better, frankly, more success than the Starship in its first try here in many ways. But Relativity, by the way, is like, we're not even going to bother doing another Terran 1 test. We're going to a bigger Terran R rocket that they're going to try to use. Can we introduce the other people in the house? Number one, Lincoln, you're going to have to come say hi. My daughter is she's got strep throat and her mom is out of town, so I brought her to the office this afternoon and she's hanging out with me. Lincoln Lee Willard, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, rabbit ears, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Daniel Ing in the house. Great to see you, Daniel. It's been a while. He and I have been trading texts a little bit. Did you guys notice that we are now listed on coinmarketcap.com? Very cool. Coinbase next, baby. Come on. Let's get, well, if Coinbase is even still around in the United States in 6 months, will be great to have the SKTL token available on it. Daniel is a programming genius. I mean, he's just a brilliant guy. He works at one of the largest internet companies on the planet. Joe Volpe, marketing badass. Can I say that with Lincoln here? Sorry, Lincoln. Joe Volpe, great to see you. And Joe Anderson, I appreciate the swag. Joe sent me a pillow that I now have as part of my background. Make some space. He sent me a bag too. Very cool. Thank you, Joe. Great to see you.
Good to see you. No problem.
All right, guys, we probably need to go over the applications. Daniel, I'm glad you're here because you will be instrumental in helping us figure out how we actually send out the 10% donation. To remind everybody, let me just review. Upon launch, the SKTLs token never has been a security. It and Bitcoin are probably the only two cryptocurrencies on the planet that are not securities, did not violate any SEC or Congress instituted rules and regulations about securities. There were no founders tokens. Nobody had to buy a token to get the initial airdrop. We gave them all away for free. There were 3 baskets. First basket, 100 million tokens given away to anybody who registered on the website for free initially for the airdrop a year ago. The next one was 100 million tokens went into a fund that will donate 10% of its tokens every May to 5 different entities that have great ideas for battling space debris. The other 100 million tokens, there's a total of 300 million tokens that will ever be printed. The other 100 million tokens are mined, quote unquote, mined every time there is a successful space launch of satellites or human beings into space. So we've got the applications for the fund donation, which is currently worth $15,000 or $20,000 each. We're going to be giving away about $75,000 or $100,000 worth of tokens to the people, countries, entities, universities, students, whatever it is, who have the best ideas. You have time, maybe one more week to get your application in. If you have not done so, Cabana, do you mind pulling up the website real quick? SKTLs.com, SKTLS.com, I mean. You go to that homepage right there on the very top, scroll down a tiny bit, but once right there, just below the top, there is a place for you to click and takes you to a form, a Google form that will allow you to submit your application. You've got 7 more days to do that. Next week, we will be voting, I suppose, all of the people here and any other crypto holders will vote on, what's the website that we end up using, Daniel, for the votes?
Snapshot.
Snapshot.org. So I'll show you guys how to do the vote next week with my phone in hand on the call, so that if you would like to vote, you can. Right there, click here to submit your SKTLs Space Debris Fund application. It's very simple to get there and do it. Can I share my screen,
Sure.
Mr. Cabana?
Yeah, just go to present at the bottom there.
Share screen. Oh, I'm going to share my Bard AI screen and no, that's not what I want. Where is the screen I want? I got too many windows open as usual. Google Drive, search results. No, that's the wrong one. First time doing this on here. I need to share my other browser is the problem, and it's trying to let me share only this browser.
If you go to Window.
Thank you. There we go. Now we're cooking with fire. Share. All right. You guys see this? Thus far, we've had 6 applications filled out, which is pretty good odds for everybody who has thus far filled out an application to win some money or tokens valued at, again, $15,000 to $20,000. If you're the parent of a high school student who's obsessed with space, tell them to come up with a space debris cleaning idea and get an application filled out here. So here you go, guys. The name of the entities, there's 6 different entities. We've heard of, we've had the Space Rocks DAO founder on our call a few months ago. Good to see his name in there. I don't know Zilla Sky Energy Solution. We do know Cis Lunar Industries. We had Gary Callahan, the CEO of that company, on here a couple of times. Rogue Space 2 weeks ago, we had Jeremy Grimmett, the CEO of Rogue Space, whom Dan knows personally, on here also. And I do not know Abruda or Obruda. What do you guys think? Space
Abruda. It's Abruda.
Thank you. So the 6 responses. I don't know if Zilla Sky's response is going to quite work because competent. That's probably not going to win. But Space Rocks DAO is to support sustainable space. Specifically, one project they're working on now is called SatHawk that aims to be a decentralized satellite tracker to help mitigate space debris in space. And there's a website. We'll go look at it. Here's what I think I probably ought to do. Let's give 1 more week for people to apply. And next Wednesday before the call, I'll post a link to this responses section in the Slack channel. Sanat, do you mind pasting the Slack invitation there in the chat right now so people can click on it if they're watching this later and or right now? And everybody will be able to read these applications. Matt, here's the one from Rogue Space. See which one's Rogue. The second to the last one. Yeah, let's do this one here. Cis Lunar. Imagine a garbage truck that refuels itself on space debris and recycles the rest into new spacecraft and space stations on orbit. Cis Lunar Industries is building metal foundries to recycle space debris on orbit into new things and propellant to refuel Astroscale's active debris removal spacecraft and orbital salvage yards. The Cis Lunar team of makers has already demonstrated continuous casting and contactless induction manipulation on zero-G parabolic flight. It's a lot of big words there. NASA awarded Cis Lunar a P1 and P2 SBIR. I don't know why they call that a SBIR. It should be SBIR. But anyway, and the company just won a Space Force Direct, a Phase 2 award for orbital salvage yards refueled with metal propellant. Cis Lunar has an opportunity to fly to the Space Foundry. I think Cis Lunar is going to probably win if I had to bet. I'll probably vote for that one out of the 6 so far. We'll each get to vote for 5. We'll pick 5, and everybody gets to vote for 5. Daniel, it'll be no problem for you to create a thing on snapshot.org where the community can vote based on the number of tokens they own. The tokens, each voter will get a weighted average of weighted vote based on how many tokens they own. Is that right, Daniel?
Yeah, I'll have to see if snapshot.org allowed voter to select the weight on the individual company.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, if I own 1 million tokens and someone else owns 100,000 tokens, does my vote count 10 times heavier in the total?
Yes,
that it'll be
I think
accounted for at the end? We
Yes.
think so. This is our first time doing the grant, guys. So, we'll figure it out and share it. I'll stop sharing my screen for now. I'm excited. It's really exciting to give away $100,000 worth of tokens, frankly. It's awesome. I've been buying more tokens personally. I told you guys I've got under a penny I'd bid. So I go in, I buy 20 or $50 here and there whenever I think about it. I haven't done it in a few days. I'll do it tonight if it's still below a penny. And I'm going to put all
There's some exciting technologies in there.
There are, right, Dan? Who else was saying something? Joe?
Oh, I was just saying, has anybody noticed
I-
that, like on market cap or on, I know Nazi said on PooCoin or whatever it was, that are the prices being up? Are people seeing updated pricing on the token? Because every time I go into one of those, it seems like it's 12 or 18 or 24 hours behind on there. The BitTimes did a really good job of being up to the second and showing holders and all that kind of stuff, where I'm not seeing anything on the other sites that's keeping up with timing very well.
I can't say I've noticed. I haven't paid enough attention whether the coin market cap is real time or not, but I will, and I'll mention it next week.
Yeah.
Does anybody have the Dex Screener app? That's a good app.
Dex Screener, I never even heard of it. Come on, can you mind throwing the word or a link there in the chat for everybody?
Yeah, I'll throw that in there.
What happened to Dano?
You can. He keeps popping in and out. I guess it's a signal. But yeah, in Dex Screener, they have so many pairs listed, and Skytles as one of them, so you can put it in your monitoring list, which is pretty cool.
Cool, thank you.
I just pasted the one that I'm using, and so far after I mentioned that the site that wasn't keeping track of in real time, so I found this site, the POO coin, that seems to be up to date, and that's the one I'm using.
When I look at that one, it's not up to date usually. It seems to be 12 to 18 hours behind a lot of times.
PooCoin? PooCoin?
Really?
You used it before, Joe?
PooCoin?
No, I only did it because Sanatsi mentioned it a couple weeks ago, so I went on there, but it's never up to date for me when I check it.
PooCoin.
Okay, I'm gonna hunt it down again. I did actually verify a few times whether it's up to date or not, and it has been. But thanks, Joe. I will check it again.
It might be you, Joe.
If you don't mind, if you don't mind, just paste the one that you use, Joe. If you could paste it, the one that you use.
What do you use, Joe? Are you going into Pancakes? Joe, are you going into Pancake Swap to verify the pricing?
No, I haven't been. I took the link, Sanatsi, that you put out there for the quote unquote PooCoin, but no big deal. If this Dex Screener is good, I'll go check that out.
Cool. All right. Well, it's very exciting. Daniel, can you come back next week so you're here when we have the call? I know you can't guarantee you'll be here because you do have a day job at this time, but if you can, please hop on.
Will do. And by the way, I just look at snapshot.org. So the voting will be, we can set a weighted voting. That means if you have 100,000 tokens, you can spread across the choices however you want.
Oh.
Up to 100,000 tokens, obviously.
But you
at the end, you can spread however you want on all the choices.
Okay, cool. We will show everybody what we're talking about next week. On my phone, I will go in there and vote, at least for some of it, with some of my tokens for next week. I was going to say I'm also going to I've got 1.3 and more than 1.3 million, almost 1.5 million tokens at this point. And I will be putting them all into the liquidity. I don't know about all, because that might cost me $10,000 to match it, but I will be putting money, tokens and matching token on the other side into the liquidity pools on Pancake Swap, so that when we make the award, if one of the companies does want to blow out of their tokens, there will be some added liquidity. I don't know if it'll be tens of thousands of dollars of liquidity in there, but we'll get thousands of dollars of liquidity in there, I assume. And I'll be happy to help them, the liquidity pool, make the market. And if the stock goes down as they blow out of it, I will be picking up more coins along the way personally, in addition to having the liquidity pool in there. So we've had questions always about the liquidity of this thing. And I believe in the free market from the beginning. And I believe the companies that win these tokens will probably hold them anyway, but I'll try to help facilitate any desires to get out of these tokens if they want to. We're at 31 minutes. Any questions or comments, or you guys want to wrap this sucker up?
Just a question for Daniel. This is not to show up or anything. Have you heard of Foundry, Daniel? It's a
Fun.
yeah, it's a crypto development. Now I found out about it in February, and not only development, but you can do all of your testing in Solidity. Everything in Solidity.
It's called
I'll-
Foundry?
I'll paste the link. I can paste it here before we leave. Let me just a sec.
Cool.
While that's happening, Dan Geraci, congrats on your new gig. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Cool stuff. Oh, not again.
Sorry I brought it up.
Yeah. I think we need to find the real recording.
Yeah, I can do that too. I've got stereo. Here, I'll do that as we. Well, that'll be our exit music instead of me badly whining the words out.
Oh, I was hoping we were going to get a solo.
Yeah, Lincoln's laughing at me. Not the first or last time she'll be laughing.
Yeah.
At me.
Yeah, Lincoln, take
Actually,
away
Piper and I do. When Piper and our drummer Rod are actually on the instruments together, we do a pretty good version of Free Fallin'. Truth be told.
You don't want to play it too much because then we'll get dinged for a copyright violation.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah.
you don't
I
think-
can't find the link right now, but
put it in
I'll.
Slack later, Sanatsi.
Sorry.
Just put it in Slack later, and Daniel will find it.
Okay.
And what are you saying, that I wasn't singing it closely enough to the original that they would recognize that I was infringing rights? Is that what you're saying, Cabana?
No, I heard you playing the actual song, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Okay.
And apparently you were worried about copyright then, but not when I'm singing.
Oh no, of course not.
Oh my gosh, Lincoln.
That's your stage manager.
She's got
Yes.
strep throat, and this is how she acts. Imagine when she doesn't have strep throat.
Lincoln, take away Daddy's guitar.
All right, thank you guys.
just-
Great to see
I
you
just
all.
pasted it.
Oh, thank you, Sanatsi.
Yeah, I'll paste it in Slack
yeah.
as well.
Appreciate all of your guys' time and energy. Daniel, sure hope we see you again next week, because we lean on you for all of the logistics on this token stuff.
What's going on over there?
Thank you.
There's my
It'll be
daughter.
great.
How it goes.
See everybody next week.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Bye.